including Georgia and Athens, after losing to Florida State on Saturday. Balk. Nope. Home plate umpire is coming out, Josh Shepis. The umpires are now going to come together. Jeff Henricks indicated balk and had the call. And Shepis, perhaps time was called at home plate. All four umpires coming together. Watch Shepis behind the plate. And now, after they get together, the balk on the bases stands, and now Danny Hall is out of the dugout on the third base side. Four umpires are going to come together once again now on the third base side, just away from home plate. Well, if they go back now, runner Cameron Pesey is at second base. Take another look here with Luke Bartnicki. I didn't see any indication there of time being called at home plate.
I think Bartnicki thought that the first base umpire may have called time, or somebody did.
Well, three umpires leaving on the first base side of the diamond. Our review cameras for the first 2 days have been on the third base side, where the Georgia Tech dugout is at the far end. Three of the four umpires have left the field entirely. And at no point have we seen them actually go down the right field line at any point. Review with the headsets are over on the third base side.
Bartnicki heard something. There's no way that he's going to stop in his windup automatically.
But Shepis, the home plate umpire, never gave any indication that time was being called. And could even see there, Jason Kaminsky, the second base umpire, did not move until he heard the balk. English heard it as well. Well, Bartnicki with three umpires down the right field line and out of our sight, trying to stay warm here, and we'll see if it's going to be Piercy at first with nobody out or at second with nobody out. After they came together initially, they said yes, and they pointed to second base indicating balk, but then Danny Hall came out. Well, we take a look at this, and this is not reviewable under the guidelines that we have been privy to and have access to. Nowhere in there are you going to see balk. Hit by pitch, we have seen that here in the regional with Octavian Moyer of Florida A&M. Well, we are continuing to wait. If this somehow ends up with Piercy back at first base, then you're going to see Gary Gilmore out of the first base dugout.
This is kind of
Danny
bizarre.
Hall, after talking with the umpires, Danny Hall did give an indication pointing to the press box, and that's a protest. So in a 4-2 ball game with nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth inning, only one umpire on the field of play. And we're coming up on 5 minutes, Rusty, where the other three have been completely out of view. They do have their locker room down the right field line. That's where they come in from before games get underway. While we wait for the three umpires who went back to their locker room, we take a look at the Atlanta Regional. This is our second elimination game. Coastal Carolina winning
from the losers bracket, but I think maybe the second biggest story today is we are in the middle of day 3 of NCAA play. The last 4 in are 7-1 going into today. Florida State, Michigan, and Duke all 2-0. TCU 1-1.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. Coastal Carolina winning the College World Series at TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha in 2016. Good for college baseball. It's not all SEC, ACC, although schools in those conferences have had success. A state like Connecticut has had 3 teams in the tournament field this year. Central Connecticut has won. UConn winning after losing its opener. And Quinnipiac, second time in the field of 64 for the Quinnipiac Bobcats, and they have a victory on their resume. Well, Danny Hall, Bartnicki has been throwing. We're now over 8 minutes of waiting. Danny Hall, and I'm a little surprised that Georgia Tech players are still on the field. It's not a day where we're dealing with excessive heat, but Danny Hall is now coming over to the first base side in front of the dugout, and now the umpires are coming back out onto the playing field. And I would think that Gary Gilmore is also going to want, that is, if this changes in some way, an explanation. But our delay is 8 minutes, and this is going to probably go past 10 minutes because we're going to have an explanation at some point. Andy Solomon is the NCAA tournament director here in Atlanta.
The other gentleman, I believe, is
Danny Hall is about to get an explanation. George Drochis was the other gentleman, NCAA National Coordinator of Baseball Umpires. Well, the way this is going on right now leads me to believe that the base runner, Cameron Piercy, is going to have second on a balk call. And Piercy is coming back out and jogging towards second base. Come to the ballpark, you just never know what you're going to see. Danny Hall is still hot. So Georgia Tech players taking their positions on the field. Never left the field to the third base dugout. And now Josh Shepis. Piercy will lead off walk. On second base, Bartnicki is going to get a couple more tosses. On second base now for Piercy after a balk was called. Danny Hall came out. 4 umpires